everybody, and welcome to Sew Saturdays. Today we're going to make a pair of leggings. I told you that for the next few weeks I'm going to make basic back to school items, and since this is my daughter's first year in kindergarten, I'm going to start making her some really cute little outfits. So I'm going to show you how to make a pair of leggings, and remember, if you have any questions or you don't understand something I did, feel free to comment, email me, Facebook me, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. And if you make anything that we learn on Sew Saturdays, please put it up on my Facebook page. I love to see what you make. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start off with a pair of leggings that, this is her pair of leggings. If you can see right here, I rolled this up 3 inches, and I did that because I'm going to add 3 rows of ruffles. So the bottom part here is going to be a row of ruffle, and then I'm going to add 2 more layers up here. That's why I rolled it up. You don't have to. These leggings are really long on her, so that's another reason why I rolled it up. So you want to take this, and this I have folded over, so this is our back piece right here, and you always want to be sure to get I have some erasable markers, sewing markers, and chalk that I use. Sometimes I use a Sharpie, only if I know that I'm doing it really lightly and that it's going to come out. So right now I'm not using any marking tools because I made leggings so many times for her. I'm just going to go ahead and cut around, and again I folded this over so that I have the back piece first. I'm coming down about 1 inch from the top. I want to have this a little even, so I'm just going to go. You can do what you choose, but I'm going to add an elastic waistband, so this is another reason why I came down 1 inch from the top. You want to make sure to give yourself enough seam allowance. You know, I would say about 1/4 inch, maybe 5/8 inch, or 1/2 inch or 1 inch. It all depends on how you like it to look, how tight or how loose you want it to be. So a lot of times I do 1 inch seam allowance just because I want to give myself enough room to secure my seams, and also to give her a little room so everything isn't so tight. So we're going to get started. Again, this is folded. My fabric here is folded, so I'm cutting on the fold. If you want to cut to where you have just 2 pieces, it's fine, because I'm going to show you how to put it together anyway. So I'm going to get started cutting here. And because these particular leggings on her are already kind of loose, I'm not giving myself the inch seam allowance here. I'm probably only doing about 1/4 or 5/8 if I had to guess. So I'm just going to keep cutting around here. And it's okay if it's slanted, because as you can see with most things, when you fold it, it's not always straight. And I'm going to cut exact here. Like I explained to you before, I'm going to add a layer of ruffle, so I don't need this to be as long as I would normally have it. Simple, easy. We're already done with our back piece. See? And so what would make more sense is probably not to cut it on the fold, because I'm going to cut this in half so that I have 2 pieces. So I do have this fabric on the wrong side right now, and you always want to cut on the wrong side when you're cutting. Until you get the hang of it, I suggest you do that. You don't have to, it's just my suggestion again. So I'm gonna go ahead. Why did I just fold that back? Okay, so I already have like a little crease here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut on my crease. And if it's a little uneven, that's okay. You're gonna sew it together, and when it's you have it pinned up, you can go ahead and even it out. I'm usually really good eyeballing stuff. If you're wondering why I'm not making any markings, this is why. Okay, so we're going to set this aside, and then we're going to go ahead and put this. You could just come over here if you have enough room and just, I have to unpin this, and I'm going to make a little marking here so I know where to fold it back up, because I want to turn it. Okay, so now you see we have the front. This is the front. So what we're going to do is fold it around to the front. That way we can go ahead and cut for our front piece. Which, if you can see when you fold it at the waistband, the back is always higher than the front. So you want to cut at the front waistband, not at this back, because we already have our back piece cut. So that's what we're going to do here. And I'm just going to put this over here. And I'm going to come up a little bit, about right there, because I'm going to start cutting here. So what I'm going to do with that piece is just fold that down, because I want it to be at my front piece. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and roll this back up to where I had it rolled up and pin it so it doesn't get in my way. And then I'm just going to cut my piece, my two pieces for my front right now. So this is an easy way for you to learn how to make your own patterns. If you watch in my other videos, I suggested getting, if you don't get this trace paper from the sewing store, then you can get the packing paper from like Dollar Tree or Walmart or wherever you go to purchase your items from. So just cutting out our front piece. And next I'm going to show you how to cut for your ruffle. Then we'll start by pinning everything together, and then we'll go ahead and make our ruffle. And then we'll sew everything together. And this is another project that's really easy. You can get done really quick, and you can make a ton of these leggings before school starts. I only have one daughter, so it works out for me. My friend has more daughters than I do, maybe spending her days making leggings. So I'm going to set this aside again just so I can show you the amount I cut for my ruffle. Now what I'm going to do is turn this way because this is a little uneven on this side. So I'm going to open this up. And as you can see, I'm cutting the width. I'm going to cut the width of this fabric. And this is a cotton, this is cotton lycra I ordered online. And I'll put the link, I'll try to always remember to put the link of where I get my fabric from. This particular fabric I got from Fabric World USA. They're in New York, actually. And they deliver pretty quickly. And there's no minimum that you need to order for this. So for the first layer, I'm going to make it 2 inches just because it's going to be our bottom layer. And for this, you kind of want to make sure that it's even. And I'm going to go ahead and fold it over again. It just makes it easier for me to cut that way. So for my first ruffle I have here, I cut at 3 inches. And this is going to be my bottom piece. And then I have markings here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I cut the next 2 layers at 2.5. So I use my ruler so it's even. And now I'm just going to cut on the line of the markings I made. And these 2 layers that will be above our bottom layer are going to be 2.5 inches long. You can cut your ruffle layers whatever size you want them. This is just the size that I want for my ruffles. So this is 2.5 inches. And then our third layer, again, is cut at 2.5. It's going to be cut at 2.5 inches. See? That's our other layer. So now we're going to go ahead and pin. And like I've always said, keep your scrap fabric because you never know what you may need it for. And yes, I did cut my ruffle pieces on the wrong side of the fabric as well. Okay, so we have both our pieces pinned here, and I'm doing this just a little bit differently than I did for the Spanx. What I have is a front and a back piece connected, and where I connected it here is on that side seam. As you can see, I did not connect it like I did the last time on the pointy part, or the which would be like the butt part. I did not connect it there. I connected it on the side long seam, as you can see, the straight side. So I have a front piece and I have a back piece. Okay, I'm going to show you again, just in case. I connected the I pinned it together on the side seam, the long side, not the side that curves and goes down, but the side, the long side. And I have my front piece, as you can see, I have it marked here with the F, and then I have my back piece, and it's still both of these pieces are still on the wrong side, and I did the same thing with my other piece. So we're going to go ahead and stitch this together, and I'm just going to do a straight stitch for this, and then we're going to connect the fronts and the back pieces together with their corresponding side, and I'll show you what I'm talking about after I get this sewn up. Okay, so now that we have our front and our back piece sewn, we're going to take it, and it's going to look like this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take our other front and back piece and pin it together so we can sew. Excuse me. You want to make sure you're putting both the front pieces together at the tip. So you want both the front pieces to be together, and you want both the back pieces to be together. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm super anal when it comes to this stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and pin this. What we're going to do is we're just going to stitch from this part up. You're going to have to pull these apart, and you'll see what I'm talking about, to sew the bottom pieces. I want to show you what it looks like, so we're all doing this together. It kind of looks like this now, and you see how I just pinned to the edge of the little pointy part right there. You see that? And the curve up. This part, the leg part, is still open, because what we're going to do once we get this sewn is we're going to open this up, and then we'll have our front and then we'll have our back, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So I just wanted you to be sure that yours looks like mine. Okay, so now that we've sewn both the little middle parts, what I'll call them, the middle, you see how it looks? It looks like it's one whole piece, and you may be looking at this like, oh my god, I messed up somewhere. No, you didn't. So now, so what you see here is a front and a back, and you see a front and a back. So now what we're going to do is take it, and we're going to open it up, and now you can see the pants, and now you have two fronts and you have two backs. So now what we're going to do is just go ahead and sew the leg, and it's still inside out. I hope you still have your fabric inside out. And if you're using a cotton lycra or jersey knit or anything like a spandex or anything like that, you can tell that you pretty much don't have to finish off the edges. You can leave the edges raw if you want. And what I mean by raw edges, if you don't know, is just simply the edge here. And you see it doesn't fray. This kind of fabric doesn't fray, so you can go ahead and leave it the way it is. So let's just go ahead and pin. And because I'm feeling really sick, I'm sorry guys if I seem to be talking slow or moving slow today. It's because I'm really sick. I have a sinus infection and a bronchial infection, so I'm in a lot of pain. If you know my history, you know what I've been through, and you know why I'm in so much pain right now. It really hurts, but I don't want to leave you guys hanging again, so I'm doing this video for you. But we're going to go ahead and pin it, and after we're done pinning, we're going to go ahead and sew it, and then I'll show you how to encase the elastic and how to add the ruffled edges, the ruffled layers. I'm so sorry. Where's my head at today? So because I'm using a stretch fabric, you don't have to worry about these being too tight on your child. So we have our piece here, and I folded it over. So now we're just going to go ahead and, well, the elastic, I'm not using a non-roll elastic this time. This is a woven elastic. First, before we thread the elastic through, we want to sew this down, and I folded mine over, and then we're just going to leave an opening about right here, so that way we can feed the elastic through. Now that I've sewn the waistband, as you can see, I left an opening here. So what I'm going to do now is take my safety pin that's attached to the end of my elastic, and I'm just going to go ahead and feed it through the waistband. And I'm going to take it all the way around. Just push it on up in there. You could use the non-roll elastic, that's what I usually use, but for this particular project I'm using the woven elastic. And I measured it 4 inches less than what her natural waist is. You want to be sure that you hold on to the end as you're going around, because you don't want the entire elastic to go through and then you can't sew it together at the end. So we're just going to keep on going through here, and I hope you can see what I'm doing. Just keep feeding it through. Sometimes it gets stuck, so just pull it on through there. There we go. Don't worry about how it looks right now, because you're going to fix it once you get it all in here. Almost to the end of mine, and you should be getting close to the end of yours as well. Okay, so now that I'm done, I'm just going to take that off. Oops. I'm going to pull this part through. It's not cooperating with me right now, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to sew the two ends together here. Just sew it together here along the edge. I hear little feet coming down the stairs. I'm just going to use a straight stitch. I'm going to go all the way down. I'm going to go back over again. And I'm going to go all the way down again. So as you can see, it's sewn together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over like this, and then I'm going to sew that down, and I'm going to sew this down. And be careful not to sew it to the wrong part of the elastic. And of course I always go back over. And then back over one more time. And then do the same thing with the other piece. And just go over. And this kind of helps not to have your elastic look so bulky. Okay, you could just take your scissors and just cut off the thread that's hanging out, but you see how I got that there? And that's how it looks on the other side. So I'm just going to go ahead and fix the waistband here, and then we'll go ahead and put the ruffles on it. We'll be done. Then I can go lay down because I'm super duper sick right now. Don't like it. Oh, before we go ahead and do the ruffles, we have to close the opening we left. And see, now the elastic's in there. It's all nice. Okay, you see that? There we go. See it? See? We have our elastic waistband. Yay! Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and close that off. Straight stitch, nothing complicated. Make sure to reinforce it. You don't want it coming loose. Okay, so at this point you can definitely go ahead and turn it over if you want. I'm gonna put my label. This is my brand. This is me. So now I have my label on. Now I can go ahead and turn these inside out. And then I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do the ruffle. Kind of go over again what I did. I put my tension on 8. I have my length on the longest length possible, minus 5, and I have my width of my stitch on 1. That's just how I like it. So what this is going to do is this is going to give us that ruffle that we're looking for. So we're just going to go ahead and let this go through, and we're going to do this with all 3 pieces. And once we have this done, we're going to go ahead and connect it to the bottom part of our leggings. And hopefully I have enough to do both sides. If not, I'll just cut 3 more pieces, but we'll see once I get it all pinned. Try to give yourself enough room at the top of this stitch so that you can connect it to the bottom of your leggings. And the other 2 strips are going to go above the first one. So let's do a back stitch, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So if you don't have a ruffler on your sewing machine, if you don't have the ruffler foot, that's my suggestion of how to get the ruffles without the ruffler foot. It's just to put your tension on the tightest tension. I don't always put it on the tightest tension. I use either 7 or 8. Sometimes I even use 6 depending on the fabric, but for like thicker fabric like this cotton lycra, 8 is fine for me. And then again, I have it on the longest length, which is 5, and the width I have on 1. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the next 2 pieces, and then we're going to get it pinned together, and then we're going to attach it to our leggings. Okay, so now that we have our first layer done, and this is our biggest layer that we're going to put on the bottom. So I have the pants turned right side out, and this is the front part of my ruffle. So what I'm going to do is flip it up, so now it looks like this, and this is how I'm going to pin it to the bottom part. See, this is going to be our first layer. And don't worry, because when you get around, you can always attach connect the 2 sides of the ruffle. Because I've made so much, I'm just not going to connect it right now because I don't know how much I'm going to need, and I need some for the other side. So if you can see what I'm doing here, Like I said, this, when you're done sewing, you're going to flip it down, and that's how it's going to look. And then you're going to add the other 2 layers up there. So right now, the ruffle is on the wrong side, and the pants are on the right side. That's why, another reason why I told you I turned the pants up when I was tracing, because this actually gives me that 3 inches that I took off when I traced the pattern out earlier today. So I'm just going to kind of overlap that a little bit, and we're going to cut it off. So now that you see how to pin, I'm going to go ahead and pin both these sides and sew it, and then we're going to go to the other layer, and then that way you know how to get all 3 layers together. What about some of this? So I'm just going to show you here how, after I got done, I went ahead and connected the ruffle together on this side. So what I want to show you is, you may be thinking, how am I supposed to sew now that you have this pinned? What you're going to do is just sew along this line here that you used to make the ruffle. You're going to put it in the sewing machine and just sew across, and once you have it all attached, you're going to flip it down, and it's going to look like this, just a little bit without the pins obviously, but yeah. So you just go ahead and sew along that line and do the same thing for the other side. But I did go ahead and attach my ruffle together here. You want to change your settings before you start sewing this together. You want to change your settings back to the original settings. You don't want the same settings you had for when you started ruffling, because then it'll all be bunched together and you'll wonder why it's looking like that. I say this because I just made that mistake. I forgot to go ahead and change everything back to the way it was supposed to be. So I'm going to do that now, so I don't have to worry about it later. But make sure to change your settings back to the original settings that you had it on to do your straight stitch. I went ahead and put the other 2 layers on, and I have right side to right side, as well as this layer I have right side to right side. And as you can see, this is our bottom layer, and this is what it looks like. So this is what you do when you're doing more than 1 layer of ruffle. You want to do this, attach this piece first, and then go ahead and just sew across here, and then for the other layer you're just going to sew across here. And I did the same thing for this side. So I'm just going to sew these 2 on, and then we'll have our all 3 layers, and then we'll be done, and you'll have your leggings with the ruffles. So now here we are, everything is all done. We have all 3 layers here of our ruffles. Obviously if you're using a thinner fabric, your ruffles are probably going to be more pronounced, more defined, but for this, because it is a cotton, like a thicker cotton lycra, it is a little thicker, but it's really cute, and you did it yourself, all with another pair of leggings that you already have. And you can use the same process if you're making leggings for yourself or an older girl. These obviously are for my daughter. Mostly everything I make is for my daughter. And again, about the labels, I will put in the description of where I got the place I went to make my own labels. I will make sure to put that in the description. And see you next Saturday. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.